What's up, guys? Scott here, back once more with another video. Um, been a couple weeks, but start off. Last week, I saw the new Star Wars movie, The Mandalorian and Grogu. My overall feelings on it: I didn't hate it, didn't think it was terrible, but it's what I would call a nothing burger of a movie. And what I mean by that is like, there's nothing that it didn't have that Star Wars. One thing, it didn't have that Star Wars epicness feel to it. Like when I watch a Star Wars movie, I want to feel like enthralled and in awe of the galaxy far, far away and feel the scope of this world. And to my opinion, most, if not all, of the other Star Wars movies that we've gotten and the TV shows did a great job of demonstrating the vastness of this world with all these different species and different people like bounty hunters, Jedi, Sith. This movie was very small scale, and for a Star Wars movie, that's not a good thing in my opinion. So it lacked that Star Wars epicness feel to it, in my opinion. Secondly, this movie really was just an extended episode of the TV show The Mandalorian, and hasn't done great at the box office because it's just a TV show turned into a movie. This whole story of this movie could have easily been done in like 3 or 4 episodes of the show, and that's what it felt exactly. It felt like 3 or 4 episodes of the show stitched together as a movie. And which is what a lot of people's fear going into it was. And that's not a good thing. Like, a movie needs to feel like a movie, like cinematic. This movie was not a cinematic experience. So, and there was no connection to the wider, what I would call Mandoverse. There was no Bo-Katan, no Luke, no Ahsoka. They're trying to do this whole story with Thrawn. This movie would have been such a perfect opportunity to tie that story into the movie side. No mention of Thrawn or any of his lieutenants. Wasted opportunity, man. Wasted opportunity with this movie. And so I was very disappointed. Not a terrible movie, but it was a nothing burger of a movie. I will probably never watch it again. I'll be honest. When I got through seeing it, I was like, yeah, it was okay, but it didn't leave a lasting impact on me at all, and that's not good for a Star Wars movie. Anyway, now, all that being said, I still believe that the future of Star Wars I'm still optimistic about the future of Star Wars, because next year we finally got a new movie coming out called Star Wars Starfighter, and that movie it's starting a new story with new characters that we've never seen before. It's set after Rise of Skywalker, Episode 9, and it's introducing a lot of new characters, a new Jedi, possibly. That's what I want for a new Star Wars movie. Just give me something I haven't seen before. Now, you can obviously have older characters pop up, but, so, yes, I think Starfighter has a lot going for it. With the story, potential story, the actors involved, the director. I think Starfighter could really be the launch of a new era of great Star Wars films. So, I'm excited for that. And I'm also excited for the story they're doing with Thrawn, and Grand Admiral Thrawn and stuff. But the Mandalorian and Grogu did nothing to further that story. So that was a big disappointment. And it gets a lot of marks off it for me. But with Starfighter and the overall Thrawn story coming up, how they're going to resolve that, that's got me optimistic about the future of Star Wars, because they could do the Thrawn story really epically, bringing in a lot of characters together. So, excited to see how that plays out. And then Starfighter will be just the start of something new altogether. So that's going to be awesome. So I'm still, despite my disappointment with The Mandalorian and Grogu, I'm still optimistic about the future of Star Wars with, these new stories they're doing. So, anyways, now let's move on to Marvel. Okay, so Marvel, since Endgame, Marvel content has been up and down quality-wise. Like, they've had some really great movies like Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi, and I really enjoyed The Marvels, even though a lot of people didn't. I thought that movie was really fun. But and Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was pretty good. Then they've had some really bad movies like Eternals and Thor: Love and Thunder. So, same with Disney Plus shows. Some really good ones like Hawkeye and Daredevil Born Again overall is pretty solid. And then some not so great ones like Moon Knight was a big disappointment. Falcon and Winter Soldier was a disappointment. WandaVision was kind of a disappointment, considering where that whole story went. Kind of a waste. Anyway, so Marvel content since Endgame has been up and down quality-wise. Now, but that being said, the one whole thing lacking since the end of Endgame really is the lack of an overarching story. Something that goes through all, like the first movies, all the way through Endgame, you felt like, even the not so great ones, you felt every entry in the MCU was a part of an overarching story. You know, you would have like cameos or mentions of Infinity Stones. Thanos popped up a few times before he was revealed as the center big bad. You know, that whole 10-year story between Iron Man and Endgame was one cohesive, interlocking story. And you felt like each piece was a piece of that story, for the most part. That has been not the case since Endgame. Projects and characters do not cross over. You have no overarching big bad, really. Yeah, you didn't until recently. I'll get to that. But for the most part, overall, in these past few phases, you've had no interlocking or overarching story. Projects are just on their own, have no tie-ins, not setting up anything for the future of the MCU. And I've been really frustrated with that. Yeah, that started, even though I've liked a lot of the content since Endgame, like No Way Home, The Marvel, Shang-Chi, and Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness were good movies, but even they didn't really set up any overarching stuff, really. Now, all that changed, in my opinion, with Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts was the first project, in my opinion, that really started to set up something big, because not only did it set up a whole new Avengers team, at the end the Thunderbolts become the new Avengers, but you also, in the credit scene of that movie, you see the Fantastic Four ship coming into Earth 616's orbit. That's a huge thing. Like, the Fantastic Four, that's the start of something. That's setting up something huge. So Thunderbolts was the start, really, in my opinion, the start of the new story that they're doing with Doom. Now, Fantastic Four, First Steps, good movie. Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four, First Steps were both really good, solid movies, in my opinion. So Marvel's kind of in a good place right now with the fans, because Thunderbolts was a good movie, well received. Fantastic Four, First Steps was a good movie, pretty well received overall. But Fantastic Four, First Steps also introduced the Fantastic Four officially into the MCU. And at the end, they set up, just like they did with Thanos, they set up Doctor Doom in the credits scene. So that's our new big bad for these next. But until Thunderbolts, we really had no interlocking or overarching story like we did, with all the way from Iron Man to Endgame. There was an overarching story. But finally, Marvel's back on the track, in my opinion, with a story, a villain, upcoming Avengers movies, huge stakes. So yes, I'm optimistic about the future of Marvel. I think Thunderbolts was a good kickoff to the road to Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I really am optimistic about these new Avengers films, and that they're gonna deliver some good quality films that we the fans deserve to see, want to see, and deserve to see. Anyway, despite my recent disappointments with Star Wars and Marvel, I'm still optimistic about the future of both franchises. So, because I think they've both got some really good projects coming up. I think will be really good. So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and peace out.